there's times where, look, you're like, when you get a box, when I say a box, like a fire, like, yes, for sure, your heart rate is through the roof because you're trying to get there as fast as possible because everybody wants to be the first ones there. So you've got guys coming from different stations, but everybody wants to be the first ones there because the first ones there, we're the ones going in first. Physical therapist said, dude, like, something else wrong. We're not going to fix you. And I was like, well, they said I have to do 20 sessions or whatever it is. He goes, like, we're making you worse. Like, this isn't helping.
Just the sheer mental health issue and, like, really PTSD from the situation of the injury itself, the not getting treated, the guys at work, like, all the above creates this, like, mental, like, war. And there's so many people going through that. We are back with episode 2 of the Forgotten Firefighter Show. I've got Lydon Reed back. Last time we had 4 of us in here. Today it's just us 2. We're going to get a little more personal and dive into just life. Like, you're growing up, how you got where you're at. Like, I really want to dive into just what made you who you are. So let's just get with that. Like, where'd you grow up at? You know, just start going into some of your childhood, and, like, we don't have to have every intricate detail, but, like, you know, we want to know what makes Lydon Reed, you know, who Lydon Reed is.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but
well,
shoot, I was born not far from here at all. I was born in Cleburne, Texas. If anybody knows Cleburne, Texas, there's an old hospital there.
Yeah.
And it's run down, still sitting there, but that's where I was born. So I was born there. And I've pretty much been in the area of Johnson County, Hill County, my whole life. So, besides a couple years where I moved to East Texas, but other than that, I've been there. My parents are great. I love my parents. My whole family, we've always been a close-knit family, even extended family. You know, we've always been close and in each other's lives, all lived fairly close for the most part. But, you know, I think that's part of what shaped my childhood is having family around. I went to school in Cleburne, and then I guess through, I think it was my 6th and 7th grade year, we homeschooled because my dad worked for a company where he traveled a lot. So we homeschooled, my brother and I guess I was in 6th and 7th grade. He was younger than I was, but we homeschooled for 2 years, and that way we could be with my dad more because he traveled a lot. So we would go places with him while he's working. Stay in hotels, you know, do that. That was a couple years of our life.
Yeah.
Was traveling with my dad.
That's
just
cool.
To spend more time with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because otherwise we wouldn't have seen him very much.
Right.
You know, but, that was a good part of my life. And, you know, honestly, like, homeschooling was nice. Like, I got to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. And I would always just knock my school out and be done with it and then have the rest of the day. My brother, on the other hand, like, delay, you know, like, I need a snack. I need this. I need that, you know. So his school took him all day long.
I mean, it's plausible to say he's a little bit like the workers' comp system.
I don't know if you can say that, but
he's kind of
a bunch of delays.
He's a slow.
Shoot, Mom. But that got me to there. And then went to Grandview. I graduated from Grandview. I guess I went over there my sophomore year of high school and loved it. Like, small school, all the people, like, I mean, you knew everybody, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you knew them in depth. It wasn't just like, yeah, I've seen that person before, you know.
Yeah.
When you've been to a school with a ton of people and then you go to a small school, like, you know everybody.
Yeah.
And so there's goods and bads to it, but I loved it. Graduated from there. Let's see. So during high school, I worked on like a registered Angus place. We ran a bunch of cattle and I helped, you know. I didn't know much. When growing up, like, my parents were not into livestock, cattle, horses, anything, really. I mean, that's not who my parents were. It's what I always wanted to do, but it's not the way I grew up. So, you know, I felt a little bit jealous at times of all the kids that got to grow up that way, you know? I mean, but my parents did everything for me. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better set of parents. I'm not saying that at all. It's just the lifestyles I wanted to live and what I grew up as were different. So I had to kind of do it on my own.
Yeah, you had to create like the future you wanted to create.
Right. So I had to find the opportunities. And luckily, I was blessed enough to have people in my life that did that were willing to give me a shot, because I didn't know anything, you know? I mean, I didn't know how to work cows. I didn't know what to do with cattle. I didn't know, you know, I didn't know any of it. I just kind of had to learn it, and I wanted it, so I made it happen, you know? So that was in high school, leading out of high school.
Didn't you have like a pet raccoon or something? Or a squirrel? What was it?
No, we had both. We had a lot of random pets. So, we had Petey. He was a pet raccoon. or Petey, I'm sorry, he was the pet squirrel.
Pet squirrel.
Yeah, we had a couple pet raccoons. We had one day we had pet baby possums, you know? I mean, we had a dog kill a mama possum, had a bunch of babies inside, and we, you know, so we had possums.
Why would you not just keep them? You know, like, you know,
I mean,
it makes sense. Like you got a bunch of possums, throw them in a cage.
We had a good childhood. When I say we, me and my brother, he was my best friend, and
it's a lot of fun.
It was just us two. He was my best friend. So, but I guess going into, so I worked for a place, with cattle, learning all that. But then it's like, well, I got to go to college, you know, I got to do that stuff. So I saw a bunch of, nothing against it. Don't take this wrong way, anyone. Like me personally, I didn't want to be in debt. I didn't want to go to a big school because I was fairly smart, you know. I mean, in high school, I did really well. And I could have gone to a state school, but I didn't want to get out of school and have a ton of debt. Like, it's just not what I wanted. So I would put myself through a junior college. So that's what I did. And so I worked on that place, and then I bought a mowing company with a buddy of mine. And so we bought it together from a guy we knew. We bought trailer, zero-turn lawnmowers, weed eaters, everything. We bought it all. And we're like, we're going to mow yards, you know? Yeah. And, you know, we did fairly well. My buddy decided it wasn't for him, so I ended up taking over the whole thing. But I did that, but then it got so big that it was either do that full time or go to school, because it's hard to find people that you can trust to do the quality work you want done and drive your vehicles around and use your equipment and trust that everything's going to be okay. It's tough to find. So that kind of shut down for me. Like I said, you know what, I'm going to go to school and then I'll go work for somebody else. So then I worked for some friends of mine that had a ranch and custom farming place in Hillsboro, Texas. And so I went there and I lived with them. When I say lived with them, I didn't live in a separate house.
Yeah.
I lived in the house with them. Like, I had my bedroom in their house, and that's where I lived. And it was awesome. And I loved every minute of it. And they were my second family. Like, I mean, I trusted them with everything. I told them everything. They were like my second parents.
Right.
Is what they became to me, you know. But we we ran a bunch of cattle, and then we ran a bunch of recip cattle for different places. We would they would put their high dollar registered embryos in our cattle. We'd have to set them up, get them ready, take care of them, and calve them out and make sure the calves are okay, because then they would take the calves back. So we were just a surrogate mother, if you could say.
Yeah.
Is what we were at that point. So I did that. And then I guess it would be, I'm trying to think of the year right now. That would have been in 2006 or 2005 to 2007, I guess. Then I started, I got, so some friends of ours, let me backtrack. Some friends of ours had, so she went to, that I grew up with, she went to Harding University in Arkansas. And she calls me one day and said, hey, you know, there's this girl, she's actually my cousin that goes here, that's your age, and I want y'all to meet. I was like, oh, okay. You know, like, I'm not looking for anything right now. And I was like, okay. She's like, well, she's going to come down with me. And we're going to go to it was a Grandview homecoming football game. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll go meet her. And I said, but I also told her, I said, if she comes down here, she's going to want to marry me. And, you know, she laughed, you know.
It's absolute confidence.
But, you know, I mean, yeah, it's the truth.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, you know,
so
like Wyatt Earp. You know?
So she tells her this story, and then she comes back with, well, tell him to bring a ring, you know? Like, so I know at that point, like, this girl, like, she can dish it out too, you know?
Yeah, might be a chance. There might be a chance here,
you know,
make something happen.
But all that being said, I know everybody in Grandview, so they go to the football game. I'm late on purpose, so I'm calling everybody saying, "Look, is it worth me coming up here or not?" Like, top deal. That's how this relationship started. I mean, there's probably not the best way to do it.
Yeah, but there's also like, there's a lot of wisdom there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, is it worth it or not? So everybody's like, yeah, you probably need to show up. So I was like, okay. So I show up, but I'm late, you know, and everybody else, like all my friends, my parents, everybody's met this girl before I ever have. Yeah. So now they all have met this girl and I haven't. So, and you know, I mean, I guess the rest is kind of history. Like, neither one of us were looking for it, but it worked out. She lived in Arkansas, going to college there. I lived here, and she ended up moving down here, moving in with her aunt and uncle, and that's kind of how our relationship started. But I did bring a ring, just as a joke, not knowing it was going to go there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like I don't know if anybody knows Politos in Cleburne, Texas. It used to be there. I think it's closed down now, but it was a Mexican food restaurant. They had these gumball machines out front, right when you walk into the foyer, and they would sell like necklaces and gumballs and everything else. And they had rings in there. It cost me, in a 25-cent machine, it cost me $3.75 to get a stinking ring out of that thing. Yeah, I got Winnie the Pooh necklaces and all kinds of stuff.
Everything but what you needed.
Yeah. So that's what I gave her. It was pretty funny. But that's kind of how I got with my wife. And we got married in April of 2008. And just prior to that, I'd started a fire academy. So she taught me into it because, and I've said this on the first episode, but I'd always been told, look, anybody, it's so hard to get on. It's all this stuff. So she finally said, just do it, and so I did, because I'd worked for the ranches. I was a welder, so I worked for a company that built armored vehicles and SWAT vehicles, and so I did a bunch of welding and fabricating also in my life prior to fire department.
Yeah.
But that wasn't as long. So I go to the college. Luckily, in my hometown, right there's a college that has a fire academy. So I put myself through the fire academy, put myself through the EMT school, all that, and then I just start testing. And
everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, they say test everywhere just to get it under your belt. I think I misspoke on the first time. I think I can't remember which test I took first. It was either Mesquite or Dallas, but the first one I got results back from were Dallas. So
I think the last time it was discussed that you should.
Yes, you should test everywhere.
Maybe you didn't have to, but that was the idea.
And so I did. That was my plan. I wasn't planning on getting hired in Dallas, but that's ultimately what worked out.
Yeah.
I mean, they hired me, went through the hiring process. There was several months of doing different things, background checks, going in for interviews, doing physical tests. I mean, there's more than medical exams. I mean, there's more than just getting hired. But made it through all that, and shoot, I'm a Dallas Fireman,
Yeah.
And like I said previously, my wife wasn't very happy. She wanted me to be at a small town. She was worried, and be honest with you, I was too. Like, I wasn't expecting it, but it happened, and so grateful now, looking back. Like, I can't imagine being anywhere else. So I got hired in 2008. It was October of 2008. I got hired, and man, I went to some really good fire stations. First coming out, I went to a real slow station, and I'll be honest with you, like, it was so slow. And there's not many of them in Dallas, but there's some of them. Like, there were days I was like, what am I doing here? This is not what I signed up for. There were days I wouldn't go past the flagpole because the rookie has to put the flag up every day.
Okay.
Put it up, take it down. There were some days I wouldn't go past the flagpole.
That was it.
For 24 hours. And I'm like, and you're brand new and you're in an old station. So you can clean all day long and you can't tell you cleaned anything. I mean, that's the truth. Like, it's so old, you can't tell. And then you got a bunch of old heads there that they went there to retire because it is slow and great for them. But they're all just, I'm sitting by myself all day long for 24 hours. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, if this is what it's like, I was like, I'm out.
Made the wrong decision.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then I had buddies in rookie school and everything that were like, dude, we got all this stuff. And I mean, that's what you wanted, but I got sent to a slow place.
Yeah.
So I was like, dang it, why can't I have that? But then leading back to it, you get sucked back in, or some guys go to paramedic school, some guys do this. So then you ride an ambulance. So in Dallas, we're firemen and paramedics. So we run all the ambulances in the city. So there's a lot of cities that you're just firemen and they have a private company that runs ambulances. That's not Dallas. We're both. So we're fireman, paramedic. You may be on the engine or truck one day, and then the next shift you're riding the ambulance. Well, then the following shift you're back on the engine or truck. So it just kind of rotates. You have a rotation.
And so for those also that don't know, what's the engine and truck like? Because at one time I didn't know.
So, okay, in Dallas, it's isn't the same everywhere. Some places have quints, some places have different apparatus. But
Yeah.
so an engine is what hauls your water and what pumps. So you're the ones going in. In Dallas, a truck is you're going to do forced entry, ventilation. You're going to do things like that. You're going to go to the roof and cut a hole to ventilate so that that fire and the heat goes out instead of on top of your guys inside that are trying to put the fire out. That heat has somewhere to go to get away from your people. So that's just basics of a engine and truck, I guess you could say. The truck has the ladder, the big ladder that goes up.
Yeah.
You know.
So the truck's longer.
Oh yeah.
An engine's kind of your basic, like,
engines
what we all feel like is a regular fire truck is more of an engine, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have the water. They pump the water.
Right.
They go in with the hoses. Trucks have ladders that go up. And that's basically the difference between the two.
Okay.
Let's see.
So you guys have to shift rotate. So like your one shift you might be on an ambulance, one shift you might be on an engine.
Right.
And like you have this rotation.
Right.
That's how y'all do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then some days you'll swing, which swinging is you've got too many people at your station that day. You didn't have somebody off, somebody at a different station short. So it's your turn and you're going to that station and you're working at that station now, you know, for the day or for the shift or whatever it may be. So, but majority of the time you're at your station all the time. So, my first assignment as a paramedic was a fire station a little further north. Went there, great people, loved everybody I worked with, but it's not really where I wanted to be, and it was further from the house and everything else, so I wanted to be further down south. So as soon as I could, I put in a letter. So you basically put in a bid for a hole that's where there's a vacancy. So I put in and I did, and I got it. And it was in the South Oak Cliff area of Dallas. And that's where I went. Probably some of the best years I ever had were there. I mean, great officers, really good guys, good friends, and family. So, I was there for several years, met a lot of good people, fought some fire. And, you know, that's something too, is, you know, if you're at a busy station, you have to understand that to get, a lot of fire, we say a lot of fire, we don't fight as much fire as we do medical calls or anything else, but your chances are higher in certain areas. So, but that comes with a busier ambulance. So it's worth the trade-off. Like, you're going to be busy all the time, but if you want fire, better plan on being busy 24/7. And, you know,
you got a lot better chance of getting into something you actually wanted to do.
Right. And it's just older parts of town, right? I mean, parts of town that don't have alarm systems and sprinkler systems and things like that. So your potential for fire higher, just because it's not going to be put out by the time you get there. Just due to the area you're working in, you know, the older houses, those things. So I was there several years, and then they had a program where you they're like, well, we got too many people, we're going to get rid of a paramedic at all these stations. Was me and a buddy of mine, Josh Hogan, that was on the first episode. We were there at the station together, same rookie school, everything. We basically, you know, rolled off. Who's going to have to leave? I lost. So I found some other buddies that I knew I had, like, where we're going to go. You know, we were all getting kind of booted out, not because anybody wanted to or wanted to get booted out, but we're like, we're going to make the best of this. We're going to go somewhere else. So we did. We all went to a station together. Great. I'm not a big apartment guy. Like, I don't like going up and down stairs. There were apartments everywhere at this place. It was like, what in the world,
Yeah.
So we had a bunch of apartments. So I was there for a little bit, went to there for a few years, and then went to another fire station. And that's where I ended up getting injured, was there at the last fire station I guess I was ever assigned to.
So the one that was in South Oak Cliff, that was Station 23.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that. And
Yeah.
then the last one you were at was
Station 32.
32.
Yeah.
And somewhere in there you were at 40?
40s.
40s. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So 32s is where I got injured. That was kind of in Pleasant Grove area. Everything about it, like everybody I worked with was great.
Yeah.
I was blessed. Like my crews everywhere I went, awesome. Like I couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, there's some horror stories out there you hear from other people, but I didn't have those, like I wanted to go to work,
Mhm.
you wanted to go in and be there and then, do your shift and come home. I mean, that's the main goal, is to come home at the end of your shift and go home. But that's kind of how I ended up on the fire department. And
Yeah. So then a little bit of plot twist.
okay.
Who you married is
Yes.
my sister.
Right, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
I knew you
Yeah.
before I knew her. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know you had a sister.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if anybody so at some point in life, I came down. I was down here a lot to help my uncle. He has a cutting horse facility and work cows, and I'd come down in the summertime and we'd go to church. You all went to the same church in Grandview. So I'd met all of y'all, I think, way before.
Oh yeah.
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 And I don't know how old I was, but so Stacy, my sister, that's who you end up meeting and marrying, and like that's a whirlwind of events, but that's what got me here on what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Is I was around, really, I mean, I guess y'all have been married how many, 16 years?
16 years now.
Which is pretty much your career as a
Yes.
as a
Yeah,
firefighter.
'cause
And
I was married to her in April and got hired in October of the same year. So
okay.
6 months. I mean, we were married 6 months without me being a Dallas Fireman, but I was in the process already.
Right. Yeah, but she's the one that pushed you into.
Yeah.
That's who she is.
Yeah.
Like if there's something somebody wants to do, then
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Do it.
You're either going to do it or you're not. Then like pick one and move on. This is how she is. But so where I was going with that, but basically the fact of the matter is like that's why I'm here, because I was around for most of your career. Like not here. I lived in Oklahoma City at the time, but we come down and obviously we're a family, so we're going to see each other every Christmas or holidays or whatever the case may have you. But so that's where I got to witness and like be around a lot of that, and like, you know what I mean? Which allowed me, that's why I brought up Station 23, because that's where, I don't know how old I was, but I went on a ride out with y'all.
Probably 2010, 11,
Yeah.
something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah, you did a ride out with us.
Yeah. So I didn't know you could do that. And then you're like, yeah, you can come to the station and stay the whole shift. And I'm like, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah.
I like stuff that's a little risky. If we can get into something cool, I'm in. Like, how do we do that? So, my background was, working for myself, and then a lot of race cars, drag racing. So that was anything to do with the thrill. But so 23s where I went with, I think I did 2 there with you. I can't remember, but full 24-hour shift. And it's like it'd basically be like being in a really mature dorm atmosphere. Everybody lives together.
I don't know about the maturity part.
Yeah, but like,
necessarily.
maybe they're just old. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, some of them were.
But like you're in this position where that's where trying to describe that is like you're with them the whole time. So being in there, and I don't know anybody, you know what I mean? Like I'm just a new guy, but witnessing the interactions between everybody, whether it be a captain or lieutenants and all these different ranks, and like just everybody really there just together. Like they're on the same team. Everybody's on fighting the same battle, and getting to go out with that and see like just the camaraderie. Like when you work for yourself or you're self-employed or you're doing something else where there's just a couple of you, you don't have this like group of guys group of men that are there for each other. So it's a different deal. But then in my experience, like, so we're there, I'm checking everything out because I'm fascinated by stuff that moves, and the engine of the truck and everything's awesome. Like the tools y'all have, the equipment you have, like it's incredible to see the different things y'all can use. But what I wasn't ready for was how loud the alarm was in the middle of the night when you're sleeping. And like, I think it was 2 or 3 in the morning. Because at that station, you guys have a call pretty much all the time, every hour at least. There was somebody's leaving on an ambulance, engine, truck for something every hour minimum. I think it was 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm like finally dead out. I'm tired. Like we had to get there. I'm not a morning person, and we had to be there. What was like 5:36 in the morning.
Right. So you don't have to be there. Your shift starts at 7, but everybody shows up early. Yeah. They show up early too, to let the guys coming off shift go home so they can take their kids to school, so they can get their kids ready for school. It's not just your shift you try to take care of. You try to take care of the shift coming off too. Yeah. So that they don't get a call at 6:45 in the morning and are gone forever. You'd show up early to take care of the guys that you were leaving. Let them go. Let them go have their family time. And I, at the time, didn't know that what we were doing. I just knew it was kind of dumb. Like, man, we're getting here early. Like, right. You're not even getting paid. Yeah. I was like, look, man, this is an ordeal. But so I'm tired. So I finally fall asleep. I'm like out. Had no idea. The alarm, whatever it is, it's like right above my head. Oh, it's above everybody's head. I mean, but the shock that my heart went through and the adrenaline rush that happened, like I felt absolutely just sick. Like I didn't know what to do. And like everybody's running around, and I forgot what you said to me. You're like, "Are you going?" I'm like, I'm trying. So I came out in like a undershirt and like shorts, and I had to put somebody else. I think I got some of those bunker gear on. I didn't have clothes on. I'm trying to make it to the engine to make the trip. Like if I'm here, I'm going. And but like, good grief, like I wasn't prepared for that level of intensity. That level of just, this is what we're doing. And like that alarm goes off, you're dead out or not, that this thing's rolling out in like 30 seconds, 45 seconds. If you don't make it, sorry about your bad luck. Yeah. But everybody's ready. Like, I don't know how, but you guys do it all the time. So, but from the outside civilian side of that, to watch it and like to try to keep up, I'm like, dude, I'm not doing this. It sounds cool. Going to fight and fire sounds cool, but like, I'm not, no. It's just it's demanding. And that what my body felt like going through that in the middle of the night, like I don't know. I'm used to staying up all night. If we're racing or something in drag race, I'm used to that. But like going to sleep and just that instant bam, adrenaline just took it to a different position. Like everything was so much higher of an intensity. Right. And then you got to go. I didn't have to do anything. I'm just there, But like, you got to go treat people or perform anyway at a high level and cognitively be correct and do the right thing. It's like the demands of the job in that regard was what, because we didn't have any fire when I was there. It was all just other calls and stuff, but just the demands of the job to perform. And how you had to perform, given that aspect of what these guys go through, let alone we didn't have any fire, but going into that is a whole different level again. Everything just leveled up the whole time. So I don't know. That was my experience. Yeah. And I mean, us as say us as firemen, firefighters, male, female, doesn't matter. But us in general, like, you kind of get used to it, like it becomes your life. And so from the outside looking in, yeah, it looks like a lot, but to us, it's not. There's times where, look, you're like, when you get a box, when I say a box, like a fire, like, yes, for sure, your heart rate is through the roof because you're trying to get there as fast as possible because everybody wants to be the first ones there. So you've got guys coming from different stations, but everybody wants to be the first ones there because the first ones there, we're the ones going in first.
Okay.
We're going in. So if you're second, guess what? You may be stopping at a fire hydrant, and that's your job for that. You got to get water to the other engine that's already there prior to you getting to have any fun, because fire for us, it's fun. It's bad for civilians. It's bad for people. But for us, that's our job, and we look forward to it.
It's also what you signed up and like what you wanted to do in the first place.
Right. And, maybe we're weird,
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt about that.
But
that's pretty simple.
Yeah. But like, you want to get a fire, like, especially when you're a new guy or a young guy. That's what we signed up for. Like, go in, put it out, accomplish something and get it done and have a group of guys to do it with, and we still help somebody in the meantime,
Yeah.
So, or go in and find someone or save a dog, there's other things we get to do, but
that's one of the things, like whenever I'd call you early on, I think it was, I'd call you, I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, oh, just fighting fire and saving lives. I'm like, oh yeah, real humble, man.
Oh yeah, that's just a terminology.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. Just living the dream, baby.
Yep.
Yeah, living the dream. So, but going back, I guess, to my story, how I got here, that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
Until I got hurt.
Yeah.
So, I didn't get hurt doing anything like spectacular or heroic or anything like that. I got hurt changing an oxygen cylinder out on the ambulance. That's my story. That's how I got hurt. Something I'd done hundreds of times. Just that day, my back popped and I herniated some disc. Other people got a whole lot better stories than I do as to how they got hurt. I've got buddies that got burned up. Not that I haven't been burned, but they got burned up in fires or that they died and were brought back to life. I've got friends that have been shot on the ambulance. Someone shot them, and they died.
Shot the actual ambulance. Yeah. Driver, whoever's there working it.
Yeah. The paramedic.
Yeah. The paramedic
walks up and he gets shot. Yeah. So I've got those people. I've got people that have fallen through roofs. I've got people that have been hit by cars on the highway. I've got people that have gotten blown up in buildings. These are all people that have gotten injured,
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. Mine was a fluke deal.
Changing an oxygen bottle.
That's it.
That's
it.
Yeah. In the ambulance, so you got your oxygen tank that runs like.
Yeah, so you've got a big oxygen cylinder.
Yeah.
And, when it gets empty, that's what you put on people, in the back of the ambulance to have oxygen or whatever. But when it goes empty or gets low, you swap it out. You got another one, you pull that one out, put a new one in, boom, you're ready to go, That's what I was doing. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, it happens. They're heavy. It's not like they're
well, shouldn't have happened. It was just did. And so, filled out paperwork. Like I said, I didn't want to do it. My officer taught me into it, which is great. Do not get me wrong. Like, I'm glad they did because, that's what they're supposed to do. They're trying to take care of you. It's what they are.
Yeah.
If you are hurt, they're like, we know you got hurt. We know what happened here. We want to take care of you and you not be out. that's what everybody wants, right?
Yeah, 100%. So he's telling you to do the right thing.
Yeah,
That's
that's what he believes too.
Right.
Okay, like he believes that, and so I did. Come to find out, it didn't work out that way for me. Like, what he believed and what I believed, and I think what all of us should believe, is that you get hurt at work, they're going to take care of you. Not that the fire department didn't take care of me, but just in general, that the system itself put in place is going to take care of you. You got hurt doing your job, it's going to take care of you. You know, you're hurt, you're injured, we're going to put you through this, we're going to see what's wrong, we're going to get you fixed, get you back to work, right? And so, not the way it worked for me. So, I was hurt, went to a clinic where they sent me. They said, okay, they didn't do anything. Like, you got a back sprain. Okay. And, I was hoping that's all it was. And,
right.
I mean, in the moment, I was like, great.
Yeah, it's great. That's great news in the moment.
Let's do what we need to do, And they're doctors. I'm not. So, let's go. You need to do physical therapy. So many sessions, physical therapy. All right, let's do it. So, we set that up. I start going. Physical therapist said, dude, like something else wrong. We're not going to fix you. And I was like, well, they said I have to do 20 sessions or whatever it is. He goes, like, we're making you worse. Like, this isn't helping you.
Yeah.
And so I try calling work comp, getting a hold of them, said, look, this is what they say. Well, you have to finish your PT. You have to finish it. Like, well, he's telling me, like, it's not helping. It's going to be worse. Like, something else is wrong. Like, you have to finish your PT. Like,
so regardless of
yeah,
like, you have to finish it.
Yeah. So you've got so many, you got to finish them. Like, okay. So
yeah,
it gets to a point where I show up and my PT's like, he's like, okay, they're going to make you finish them, but we're really not going to do anything. We're going to try to stretch a little bit or do something that isn't making it worse. So that's how it ended for me. And then, go to another doctor that they send me to, and they're like, okay, something's wrong. They send me to a pain management doctor. That doesn't fix me. Which they'd already sent me for CTs and MRIs and stuff, and they got the results back, and it showed that I had these herniated discs in my back. So, but they're trying to do other things to, I guess, fix it, or not necessarily even fix it, but pain management to something to get me back to work without fixing the problem. Does that make sense? Like, they're trying.
I mean, what you're trying to say, I get that. It doesn't make sense, but how you're putting it, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So that's where I end up. So I go to those, which still doesn't help. And I'm on all these drugs, man. I mean, I'm on pain pills and nerve pills and, all this stuff. Like, I'm loopy, like, all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not me. I'm doped up on everything just to get by right now, because I hurt all the time. I mean, I can hardly walk. I remember a day where, so I got hurt November of 2016. I had my first daughter in August of 2016. Okay. So, 2 or 3 months, and then I get injured.
Yeah.
So I'm injured, and when you're injured, you're at home. You're at home unless you can do light duty, which my doctor wouldn't release me to do because I had to drive to Dallas. And I'm doped up on so many meds that he's like, I can't release you to drive on all these meds. I'm not going to be liable for you getting in. You're not supposed to operate heavy machinery. You're not supposed to drive. You're not supposed to do these things. Yeah. Not releasing you. So I was at home. But I remember a day where my wife had to go do something. So I was like, you know what? I got it. Like, I can take care of her. I can take care of my daughter, Riley, and you're going to be gone a couple hours and we'll be fine,
Yeah.
So, I thought I could. I did. I thought I could, because I wouldn't have done that if I didn't. But, you got to change a diaper or do something. And I got in the floor. I remember, I don't know exactly the situation, but I got in the floor, and Riley's probably, I don't know, 6, 7 months old at this point. I get in the floor and I go to do something, and then I can't get up. Like,
Yeah.
I'm stuck. I can't get out of the floor. My 6-month-old is laying right here, screaming her head off, and I can't do anything for her. I can't pick her up. I can't get to her. Can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, like that moment right there, like, really affected me, you know?
Yeah.
Really bothered me, because I couldn't do anything until somebody got home to help me. So, I don't know. Like, I don't want that for anybody. Gosh, I'm sorry.
No, it's like, it's bad enough to have a kid, you know, and I've got kids, and them just crying, and you can't console them, but you've got them in your hands and you're trying to figure it out. It's a whole different thing if you just can't do anything. You can't move.
Yeah.
What do you do? And she's just in there, you know. I guess it's horrible. Like,
because what if something would have happened?
Yeah.
And I really had to do something.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. You know, she was just crying there, and it did that. But what if I really had to be there in that moment and I couldn't do it?
Yeah.
You know, and part of that was because, like, I wasn't getting treated. Like, I wasn't getting help. They send me all these places to jump through all these hoops and do all these steps, but nothing's happening. You know, they send you to a surgeon, and you go to them, and they say, like, you have to have surgery. Like, there's no healing on its own. Like, but you keep getting denied. You get denied, and then you get denied, and nobody has answers. Nobody can tell you why. They send you to somebody else, another surgeon. This process just keeps happening. It's like they're looking for someone to say you don't need surgery, or they're looking for you to give up. One of the two. Those were what was in my mind at the time. They're trying to find somebody who says I don't need it so that they can justify it. Or they're trying to say, you know what, we're going to push him long enough. He's going to say, you know what, I'm good, and go back.
Hurt. Yeah, just quit.
Or like go back hurt.
Quit fighting it. Yeah.
Just give up.
Yeah.
That's the way I felt. And, you know, there's times, I'm not going to lie, like I felt like giving up. It was the worst time of my life, was this process. I'd never been in such dark places. I'd never been down the way I was. I'd never had lost friends and lost family the way I say those things, meaning like you've got the guys, the men, the women, the firefighters that you work with and live with. They're your family. They are. They're part of your family, not taken away from your actual family, but they're part of it. You live with them a third of the year, you know, and you go through everything with them. And they're the only ones that know what you go through. And they're the only ones that you can talk to about certain things, because there's certain things you can't talk to your spouse about.
Yeah.
Or your kids about.
Well,
because they don't understand it and they can't see it. But those people were there with you.
Yeah.
And you can talk to them. When you lose that, like, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the outside looking in and from their shoes, like, it's like, he's hurt, right? I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Okay. They're like, we're busting it to cover for him, you know, like they're riding the ambulance more. They're doing these things more because my spot, my hole, my position is still there. They're covering it for me.
Yeah.
So they're short. They're short a guy.
Right.
Okay. But they're handling business. That's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do. But after time and so long, it's like, man, you know, I want to be on the fire engine or the truck this day, but I got to ride the ambulance because Lydon's not here. You know, so it puts stress on them, on you. It brings an animosity between them, because from their point of view, like, if you're really hurt, why aren't you getting fixed? You know,
go get surgery, dude. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. But not knowing, I can't control it. And I don't know why. So when they ask why, I don't have the answers.
Yeah.
I don't have the answers they're looking for. Because myself, I don't know. The surgeon that tried to submit for surgery doesn't know. So how am I supposed to?
Yeah. And the guys at the station, it just seems to them, you're just not trying to do anything.
Shoot, I'm just on vacation.
Right. You're just
it comes to the point where it's like, you're just off and we're covering.
Yeah.
You know, and so I totally get it. Like, and that can happen, but that's part of this too. And this awareness, what we're trying to do is to let some of those people know. You might not get hurt, but if you know what actually goes on, you may take it a different way, or do something a different way, or support a different way, you
Correct.
know? Yeah. Because that's the truth of it. Like, most of the guys that get hurt want to come back to work. I'm not saying it's 100%. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that there's never been a fraud case or anything like that. That is not what I'm saying. But I can tell you, I wanted to go back. That's what I signed up for, and that's where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I'm not there now. And I'll never be there now, because it took so long to get surgery that I have permanent nerve damage, and I'm restricted, and I am a liability to the fire department in the field because of my nerve damage. So, what I signed up for, I've lost. You know, I'm not saying that I can't do anything. I'm not disabled. You know, like, I do stuff.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's just the liability issue that keeps me from it. But there's guys that, like, are permanently disabled that had a whole lot worse than I did, that aren't getting help, that aren't getting treatment, that are getting delayed treatment, that are getting denied. To a point, it's shameful. I think. Yeah. If I can use that word, but because the people that deny you don't even know, I don't know how to say this, like, politically correct, but what they're talking about.
Yeah.
When you've got a neuro issue or a spinal issue and you get denied by a dermatologist or a gynecologist, like, it doesn't make sense.
No.
You know, if you've got cancer and you're denied by someone like that, when there's cancers that are under this criteria for the state that are supposed to be covered under occupational cancer for firemen, and you're denied. Why? And then you've got someone with a, that we see things most people should never see in their lives. Okay? Same with military. They go through it too. We just do it here. They can do it overseas. We do it here. But there's mental health issues all the time. Yeah. But if you see people and you know people are having them, but they're getting denied the treatment, why are you going to try to get help when you just have the same thought you're going to get denied too? It's like, there just needs to be some change, a better process, a way to expedite at least treatment or scans or something to expedite the process to get people back to work quicker. And it's not only getting back to work quicker, if I would have gotten treated quicker, I would not have the disability I have.
Yeah.
100%.
Like, you could have gone back to work and been back. Yeah.
If I would have not filed with work and just done it on my own, I could have had surgery the next month.
Yeah.
And that nerve wouldn't have been pinched for a year.
Yeah. So that kind of brings me into another thing I wanted to talk about was the workers' comp thing. And then like, okay, you guys have health insurance.
Right.
So I want to go over the reason. Like, so I think to a lot of people, it may not make sense to why, okay, yeah, we're hurt at work, but you can't get treated. But here's the situation. So I want to talk about the health insurance and workers' comp and like what exactly drives decisions and like what's going on. And
so when it comes to that, yeah, we've all got health benefits. So they're through a different company. So
yeah,
if you get hurt at work, it's classified as, and you file paperwork, it's a work comp claim, right? So they're using the work comp system to take care of your injury or your need or whatever it may be. But if you were to get hurt at home, then you would use your health insurance, right? Because it's not work related.
Correct.
So they're two separate entities at that point, and they've got two separate purposes. If you were to file work comp on a work comp injury that happened at work, and you're not getting treated the way you think you need to be treated, or the process is too slow, or whatever the case may be. If you then move over, okay, so now I'm going to go to my doctor that I pick and use my health insurance. You just nullified your work comp claim. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not liable for you anymore. Work comp, they want you to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, because now they're clear.
They're not paying.
You went to somebody else now to seek treatment, not going through their process. So now you're deciding to do it privately with your own health insurance. So now if you need that back surgery, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now you're liable for the expenses of that surgery because you chose to go a different route.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So that's the difference between them. They don't coincide. They don't work together. They're two separate
things. I mean, if you got a serious injury there and you use your own stuff, there's a potential you're stuck with a bill you can't pay.
Right. Yeah, you could be. And, and there's some people that'll say like, I won't use work comp. I'll just use my own insurance, do it, get fixed quicker, faster, and, be able to go back to work, normal life. Yeah, I'm going to have a bill. I'll just deal with it,
Yeah.
And I wish I would have done that.
But that's not what's supposed
But
to
it's
happen.
not what's supposed to happen.
Right.
What's supposed to happen is you get treated and taken care of. That's what's supposed to happen. But I'm not saying that never happens. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying every work comp case is the way mine was. That's not what I'm saying. In my experience, there's a lot of delays and things that happen that delay treatment, that can cause permanent damage, that can do these things to people just because of the process. And it's like I don't know what you call it. You got a diagram. It's got two options. You pick, okay, yes or no. Based on what you pick there, then you pick something else. You go somewhere else from there. And you just follow this platform. And if they answer yes to this or no to this, you go this direction. You go this direction. That's what it's like. And when it comes to submitting for surgeries, if you don't say the right word, the word they're looking for, because again, you're speaking to, so you're getting denied by people that aren't specialists in that field, right?
Yeah, so they're just following the flow chart. So they're
following this flow chart, and they're following and looking for particular words to be mentioned when your surgeon submits for surgery, what has to be said and the way it has to be said to get approved or denied. It could be the same thing said in a different way and you get denied because you didn't have the wording they needed in there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I know of, doctors and PAs and that they didn't even know part of the wording that they're looking for. Like,
yeah,
you don't know that, but they're not going to give out that information either.
No. Well, and that's one of our family members. My cousin's husband he's a PA, does surgeries, does all that. He's been involved in work comp cases in a lot of areas, and he's tried to figure stuff out. And I forgot how you put it. We have to have him come on one time, but he's tried to get basically the rule book,
right,
and get the playbook for what do we do here. And it was something, I don't want to speak out of turn, but it was some ridiculous price that nobody can afford to try to get that information.
Right.
But just the way it all gets handled. But then on the outside of that too, like, well, just watching it. So at the time I lived in Oklahoma, and when you guys would come to visit for, whatever it might be, Christmas, something, you'd be there, but you're not working. And I didn't quite understand at the time. I didn't understand everything. And then what hit me was that night, the first time you were there after you got hurt, you're in the recliner.
Yeah.
And, it's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, you going to bed or what? He's like, I can't. What do you mean? I can't lay down.
Yeah, I slept in a recliner for 18 months.
Yeah.
I was in a recliner.
So that's when I
couldn't sleep in my bed with my wife.
Yeah.
I slept in a recliner, and I wore that recliner out. So,
yeah.
I mean, that sucker was done. After finally I had to get to the point where I had to go 18 months in, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, even after my surgery, like, I was having difficulty sleeping, laying flat. So we went and bought a bed. I overpaid for this sucker, but it tilted, it elevated, the feet came up, all that fancy stuff.
Like the infomercial stuff.
Yeah, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
Best money I ever spent, because I got to sleep next to my wife now.
Yeah, and you can change your position and all that.
Right.
But that was, that's what hit me. Like, that's where I kind of, at the time, I didn't understand what was going on. And then I saw that, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm not there to see you, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of the guys that we're talking about at the fire station, and they don't see all that.
No.
They're not home with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then you see that, and you're like, okay. So I didn't know. We talked every day at the time, But that's what pushed it for me was, okay, what is going on here, man?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is this the way it is? Why, like all the stuff that you could do, that's what a lot of people don't understand. And we could talk about that maybe at a different time too, but all the stuff that you can do, or you were gifted with from God, our creator, to do with your hands, build stuff, weld stuff, like construction, wire. I mean, it didn't really matter, whatever, you know what I mean? And then you can't do any of it.
Yeah.
That's one of the things when you'd come visit us, like, usually I got some kind of car. It might be nice, might be a real pile laying around. We're going to mess with something. Couldn't do it. Like, I was just going to sit here, like, word, this isn't my thing.
Yeah,
but,
hope there's football on or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it's somebody we likes in the playoffs or something.
Yeah.
But you couldn't do any of it. And so it just kind of is a whole different experience of like seeing the aftermath and not really understanding until way down the road why it was so bad and what happened. And, man, it just made me mad. Like, I didn't even know what's going on. I'm like, this is what?
Yeah.
And then hearing the stories about I think about it differently now, but at the time, the guys are giving you such a hard time. And like some of the stories,
it's not their fault.
I know exactly. I think about that now, but in the moment, I was just mad. Like, it's like if your family, you're just mad regardless. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like now it's like, no, I get it. I see both sides of that. And just the mental aspect, like going through it. What I haven't been through that. And I've been through a lot of stuff in my own life, but like just the sheer mental health issue and like really PTSD from the situation of the injury itself, the not getting treated, the guys at work, like all the above creates this like mental, like war. And there's so many people going through that.
A ton.
I mean, tons. And guys won't even talk about it. We don't even know about. There's tons of them, and they're not getting any help. But I don't think that anybody with what we're doing right now that I know of has put it out there. Like, hey, there's another thing over here. There's another battle happening.
Right.
That needs attention. And there's a lot of guys that are I mean, dude, there's guys that commit suicide.
Yeah.
There's guys that end it because they don't feel like there's anybody to help them.
That's a big part of what we're trying to do besides changing legislation and doing all that thing is being available.
Yeah.
You know, like if you got something, like I said before, like I don't know if the correct term psychologist or psychiatrist, whatever it may be. I'm not one of those.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you're looking for a dude that's been through some stuff and you got some stuff and you want to talk, let's talk, you know, because we're here and we've been there.
Yeah.
And
we've got a bunch of people that,
if you want to get emotional, let's do it. Because obviously I'm doing it right now, you know?
And it's great. Like there's a lot of guys that aren't one of us or aren't on the board that we can get somebody in contact with. There's so many people that want to help.
Yes.
It's just got to get into the public light, and we've got to get people to understand what's going on. How do we help, and how do we help these families, man? Because there's a lot of kids and a lot of wives that have sacrificed a lot.
They sacrifice daily.
Yeah.
I mean, because their spouse, whether it, you know, male, female, goes to work, you never know if they're coming back. Same with any other job where you're driving somewhere. I mean, that's always the possibility, but the chances are being in any kind of field where there's potential danger involved, your chances are higher, you know.
Well, I mean,
and you're gone for 24 hours. You don't come home every night, you know.
Most of the time what you're doing is running into something that everybody else is trying to get out of.
Right.
So, like, you know, it's inherent that there's a way bigger risk. You signed up for it, but it's also a sacrifice. Just like the military, you know, these guys, they might get paid, but man, it's a job, but it's a sacrifice.
No,
they know
absolutely.
what they're signing up for. They know they may not make it back, but for love of their community, their people, and the United States, right? That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it takes a special person to do it. And man, Lord bless them, and we love the military. And there's also these other guys that are risking life and limb here at home too, going into these things. And there's a lot of military guys on the fire department.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
A ton. And it's the same thing. That self-sacrifice, yes, you're getting paid. Yes, it's a job, but it's a sacrifice because you could do something else that doesn't have those elements. But at the same time, if you're called and, you know, you feel like you're led to be somebody that saves lives and somebody that can do that and be in that position, then that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you do.
Right.
And I think that, man, it's so powerful that there's so many people out there that want to do that. But for those guys that are like that, men and women, I say guys, it's a generic term. Men and women that want to do that want to serve the community, people they don't know. And to get treated that way after an injury has to stop, whether it's mental, physical, any of the above. Like, we got to take care of these people. There's only so many people out there willing to sacrifice their entire life for their neighbor. And we keep checking those people off the list. We better hope there's more behind them, because that number is getting shorter and shorter. And we got to take care of them. Like the firefighters, as a kid growing up, man, firefighters who you want to go see, right? There's a guys at Christmas time with the boot getting money for raising funds for kids and raising money for research and hospitals. And see, you want to be like, and they don't get help. What?
Right.
And that's just, I don't know. That's where I'm at with it. And I just wanted to bring that that up, and that's the light and going forward, and these people that need it, and the families that need it, and how great, like some people we've talked to and some of the guys you've worked with, like how wonderful their families are, their wives are, their kids are. I mean, just outstanding. And that's what we need to do. That's our mission. That's the calling, is to serve them and just make change.
Exactly.
Somehow.
At least strive for change.
Yeah.
It's what we're going to do the best we can do. I mean, it may not be perfect, but we're going to try. You know, I mean, we're going to try to push for change and make changes and be there for people and help people. So not everybody has to experience what's been experienced in the past, you know?
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah, that's all it is. So this is our second episode.
Yeah.
We're going to keep on rolling with this, hopefully weekly. And now everybody knows that you're my brother-in-law.
Yep. Hey, we're related.
Yeah, we're related. Surprise. But that's why I'm here. Just for what I saw everybody go through and the stories, and how many firefighters I know now because of you. And like, I live here now. I'm in Texas full time. This is something that we just feel like we're called to do, and I feel like we're led to be in part of this movement. And man, we're gonna keep going. Oh, yeah. And we're gonna sacrifice whatever we can. And if anybody wants to reach out, please do so. You can go to ForgottenFirefighters.com. There is a link on there that you can get a hold of us. You can message us. There's donate buttons, $1, $10, whatever you want to do. We're working on merchandise. We're going to work on hats, shirts, and like all those proceeds is going to helping somebody. It's not going to our pocket. It's going to the movement and helping somebody. That this is not something that's going to pat our pockets. It's a nonprofit. It's a 501c3, and our mission is to help people. And so every dollar we raise, that's what's happening. And please reach out if you need us. If you need to talk, you can talk to me. You can talk to Lydon. You can talk to. We got a list of people that can help you if you're in a situation,
or we can find you help. We will do whatever we can. Please reach out. You're not alone. If you're in a situation and you're injured, or you got a mental situation and you're a firefighter, paramedic, police officer, just reach out and we'll do whatever we can. Yeah, that's how we end it. And, you know, we'll work on next week's episode, and we'll have a pretty good, exciting, like a lot of in-depth stories next week. It might be a 2-hour situation. Yeah. It won't be as boring as mine.
No. But all right. Love everybody, and thank you.